good afternoon, good evening. How is everybody? Welcome to another episode of Roll Around, Find Out. In today's episode, we're going to talk about a probably terrible idea that popped into my head that I want to explore, and that is making a tabletop role-playing game with a Yahtzee-like mechanic. I'm a teacher on Christmas break, and I have 2 young children. And towards the end of the break, we were starting to get bored, I guess you could say. I live in Wisconsin, and the weather actually isn't bad. There's no snow on the ground, but it's still cold enough where, you just don't want to go outside. So my daughter was on her tablet for quite a while. My son's watching TV, Fortnite. And I said, let's get off the screens. I'd love to have played D&D if you're a long-time listener. We've got a Zelda-themed D&D campaign going. I haven't touched it since the summer for a variety of reasons, but going through, I said, all right, let's family board game. And they do enjoy that. They really love Uno. We have a similar game called... it's going to come to me. It's a... Oh, shoot. Let's try and find it on here. Family card game. It is a game with a little bit of strategy, a little bit of Sky Joe. Here we go. 57,000 reviews for $15, and I think I got it on sale, or it was slightly cheaper than that. I thought 57,000 reviews. It's got to be good, and I don't think we play by all of the rules. The way you lay it out is pretty important, and we kind of just do whatever. But my kids are 6 and 9. Nice. So it's just, we play a simpler version, I'll say. And it's fun. So it was either Uno or Sky Joe. You know what? That's all we ever play. So, going through the board game list, well, Pretty Princess, maybe. Chutes and Ladders, it's kind of boring. Like, okay, we've played Fortnite Monopoly, and that is a hit. We played that nonstop for like 2 weeks in the summer. But I wanted to go through and what's a game that we just never play? And Yahtzee. We were playing... What game were we playing? We were playing something similar to Yahtzee. Oh, no, we were talking about Rummy. And I said, it's kind of like Rummy, but with dice. And so they've recently learned Rummy. And so got it out, and they freaking loved it. I can't believe how fast they picked up the rules. Probably the hardest thing for them was figuring out what a full house was. And my daughter still just calls it a house. Did you get the house? But they picked it up really fast, and they loved the shaking of the dice. I've got a video of my son getting a Yahtzee, and he's just freaking out. They weren't doing super great, and then my daughter got a Yahtzee, and my son got a Yahtzee on his next turn, and the place went wild. It erupted. And so I thought, man, they're having a lot of fun. How can I incorporate this dice mechanic into a D&D type game, into a ttrpg type game? And of course, being the mega nerd that I am, we're going to come back to this, but I'll just briefly show. Here's my first draft of a Yahtzee themed role-playing game. The gist of it is, this is what would be the bottom half of a Yahtzee scorecard. Then your traditional HP. We're going to talk about magic points and also action points. inventory, abilities, and spells. And the big thing is this column of numbers here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the Yahtzee mechanic, and I was kind of trying to think like, okay, there's no way. Well, let me back up. If you've never played Yahtzee, like I said, we'll come back to this. If you've never played Yahtzee, I had a picture here. Okay. You get points for rolling. You get 5 dice in a cup. Let's see, do I have it at the ready? Okay, here. Yep. Just to annoy you, because by the end of a Yahtzee game, it can be rather annoying, but here's my plastic cup with 5 dice. Shake them up, roll them. I got a 1, a 2, a 2, a 4, and a 6. So, depending on how I want to play this out, I could keep the 1 and a 2 and try and get a 3, 4, 5. Try to get, or I could keep my 2 2s and try to get as many 2s as I can. A Yahtzee is 5. Yahtzee's down here. 5 of a kind. 5 1s, 5 2s, 5 3s, etc. And so the more points you get, that's how you win, by getting the most points. And so, kind of jumping all over the place here, I thought, okay, how can we accumulate dice? Oh, hang on, I kind of skipped over the reason why I rolled these dice. So if you've never played Yahtzee, calm down, Heath. I know this is what happens when you get excited. You roll the dice, and then you try to get, go back here, some sort of pattern. Nope, don't want that. Some sort of pattern, a bunch of 1s, a bunch of 2s, a straight, full house, 3 of a kind, etc. And there are 3 times in a row where you shake and roll your dice. So in the example I had, I would keep my 2 2s, I would put the rest in, roll it again. Okay, I don't have any 2s, I have a 3 and a 5, so I've got 2, 3, 2, 3, 5. Okay, this is a pretty garbage hand. I have one more opportunity to make something out of this. I have a 1, 2, 3. I need a 4. Didn't get it. I've got 1, 2, 3, and 2 5s. So that's a pretty garbage roll. So I would probably just give myself 2 2s and move along. Okay? So taking that base mechanic to a TTRPG, number one, I thought, no way are my players going to roll 3 times every time there's an action. That would take forever to do anything. Imagine your combats and almost triple the amount of time. Okay? Not happening. So then I thought, okay, well, how are they going to build up this dice pool, we'll say? And I thought, there's other TTRPGs out there that reward you for failing, like a fail forward mechanic. So I thought, okay, it's going to be a D6 game. You are trying to do something, and if you fail, you should be able to keep some of the dice. I think I'm going to just settle on 1 dice. Or... oh yeah, okay. This is why I love this. This is why this podcast exists. We're going to come back to these skills here, but I'm going to write down on my note sheet that an ability should be to keep 2+ dice on a failed check. Yes, that's great. Okay. And so you gain a dice pool for your stats. You can roll 1 D6 for anything you want to do. I can't think of the game, but there's some game out there. I think it's an older one, and it's definitely an outdated mechanic. But basically, like, if you're not skilled in or proficient in an ability, like, you just can't do it. And I don't think that quite makes sense. So at its core, everybody gets 1d6 for anything they want to do. Then, if there's any task that involves strength, you can build up your pool and roll up to 4 dice for any mechanic. I originally had 5 because there are 5 dice in Yahtzee, but I kind of came to the realization that how characters level up is improving their stats, which is a common thing from, like, I think Call of Cthulhu does it that way. I'm kind of hot on Dragonbane right now. I bought the Quick Start guide, which, shame on me, I didn't know was free. I could have just printed it off, but side tangent as I do, not a big Free League fan. Like, they just won a ton of awards at the Ennies, and if we go to our games, like Alien, which looks amazing, but I can't pinpoint why I don't like them. Probably this is just classic Heath. If it's popular, if something is popular, pop music, whatever, I usually don't like it. I'm like anti-popular, normal stuff. I'm just that weird kid in the corner that likes weird stuff. And so, Alien, they have the big Lord of the Rings. I got kind of mad at this Death in Space. I'm like, how dare you trump on any mothership success that's going on right now. What else? I think Mork Borg, which I don't like. I don't like the artistic style, and so I just But I learned that Dragonbane was a shocker roll under system. So I found a quick start guide on Amazon for $6, which, again, shame on me. Don't be like me. Go and download it for free. It's probably free even on here, but I know on ttrpg you can download it there for free as well. And if I can find a character sheet, let's see, let's go to downloads and character sheet. Here we go. Okay. Love this character sheet. I like these stats, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just like D&D. However, here are the skills. And being a roll under system, through a combination of your skills and I forget what else. I just got it, so I'm learning the system. But your skills improve when you level up. Acrobatics, awareness, bartering, beast lore, bluffing, bushcraft, crafting, evade, healing. I'm not going to go through all of these. But that was kind of my goal and my inspiration, was to do something like this with more stats. So that's why I went from 5 to, I think, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This like jumped weird on me. Can I zoom out? Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, went from 5 stats to 8 stats. We got there. Okay. All right. Jumping ahead. Man, I'm excited. Okay. So failing forward is I think the mechanic I want to go. It's going to be here's basically the rules. However many dice you have, you roll. And what was it? Some game I just reviewed. Again, longtime listeners know I'm not a big fan of D&D for the DC number, which to me is just very arbitrary. And, unless you're reading out of a published book and everybody's at, the recommended level, one dungeon master might say, oh yeah, jumping over this ravine is a 13 DC. Someone else might say it's a 16 DC. And I don't like that. But there was some game, I think it was, the super indie flower game. It's not about flowers, but it has flower in the title, like Psycho Flower. I don't remember, but that game, and I know others, they flat out give you a table, and I have this right on the character sheet, so they know if the DM says, or if you are trying to do something, let's say steal a horse in front of a tavern, okay, the DM would just say, oh, that looks kind of tricky, but you can try it. So tricky is the word that they know. Okay, I gotta roll an 8 or higher. And based on the leveling system, if they want to start out, it is impossible for them to do a tricky action with just 1d6. But they can steal a dice from their pool here. So here I have on the official Yahtzee scorecard, there is the chance score of all 5 dice. It's kind of a catch-all. Like, so in the example I gave, I had really crummy rolls. So I could have added them all up and put them as my chance, but they were all pretty low. So I wouldn't have done that. It would be like, oh, I was going for 4 of a kind. I got 3 6s, and a 2 and a 4. Something like that. Okay, well, I have those 6s, so that's pretty good. I'll add them all up and I'll make it my chance. So, using your stat alone, you wouldn't be able to do anything over easy. You could do tricky. You couldn't do tricky, hard, or epic. But if you've got a dice in here, you can use one for a chance roll. This still needs tweaking, but you could pull from there. The ultimate goal would be that you get 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, full house, and then these are the benefits that you get from this. So, okay, we will come back to the actual mechanics of this step by step. I went into it more than I wanted to. This is learning for me. I've got, I think, the ball rolling, but everything is subject to change. Maybe I want to go back down to 5 stats. Who knows? Okay, it's all up for change. But I will say that Dragonbane here is worth checking out, especially the free quick start guide. Go check it out. And here, this willpower points was influential in my Yahtzee game. Think of it as like magic points. Let's see, do we have damage, abilities, skills, inventory? Okay, I'm still... Oh, they got a printer-friendly version too. I'm still learning it. Like, I've just briefly perused it, but my understanding of willpower points was like action points. If you want to do special actions, special feats, things like that, you can, but it's going to cost you points. But I don't see anywhere on here like a special spot for magic points. So here's listing abilities and spells, but not necessarily like how many you can cast. So maybe I'm wrong on that. But that's another mechanic that I guess if I interpreted it wrong, I'm still excited about it, and we'll go into more depth on that. Okay, so Wanting to learn more, I did a quick Google search initially a couple of days ago on Yahtzee and tabletop role-playing games. And right off the bat, I was excited about this. Oh, there's a D&D branded Yahtzee game? Heck yeah, let's check this out. I'm going to take a swig of my Crystal Heavy over here. However, despite these having an owlbear and a beholder, a mimic, the pictures on these dice do not matter whatsoever. You can barely tell, but this score sheet here, my understanding is the exact same as normal Yahtzee. All it is a dice tower with D&D themed dice, which super lame. I don't know when this officially came out. Sure, it's got good ratings, but it's basically just Yahtzee. The dice tower looks great. Awesome. The theme was great, but the dice are too hard to read. Yeah, because the number's so small. So not happy with this, but kudos if you want to buy it. I think it does look cool. I think this dice tower is pretty sweet, but not worth it for me, what I'm looking for. So, as the internet does, the homepage of the internet, Reddit, a couple people kind of asking the same thing. Like, hey, is there a Yahtzee-themed tabletop role-playing game out there? And so this is the first one that I saw. I'm not working on anything with this in mind, but after playing endless board games that use a wide variety of variations on the Yahtzee dice mechanic, I wonder if it's been effectively attempted in RPGs. And then they go to explain how he thinks it would go. Pros would seem to be that it gives players more control over their action and allows for pushing one's luck, which sort of is in my system a little bit. With the dice pool, it's the falling forward, not necessarily pushing luck, I guess. But in the same vein of, it's not just declare action, roll, succeed, fail, move along. There's a little bit to it than that. You have an end goal of, okay, I failed my attack, I failed my check, but the failing forward is like I learned from my mistakes. And so when their dice pool grows, they have more dice to learn from. They take one of them, add it to their Yahtzee column, and they have a goal in mind of, okay, it looks like a battle is brewing, so I want to start and try to build a straight. I want to try and get 4 of a kind. Well, we'll come back to my mechanics. Okay. Cons are that it requires anything that uses this mechanic to have the target combination already determined, and I think that the push your luck element would lead to more players busting out and ending up getting to do nothing of import on their turn. It's also more fiddly for both players and GMs. Okay? So, reading some of these responses here, my biggest concern is with getting 3 rolls for basic moves. Letting a player roll on one move 3 times can slow the pace of combat, the flow of the narrative, and potentially bore the other players. So, I said that already. Not in my Yahtzee-inspired game. You are not getting 3 rolls. That's exactly what they're saying. It would take forever. Okay. Next one, and this is from 6 years ago. So this isn't necessarily a new idea at all. One roll engine works sort of like Yahtzee. You assemble a dice pool, then roll all the dice. You count successes in matches. This is called the height. But how many you match is called the width. And how those interact with the rules is dependent on the situation. So if you have a 5D pool, that's 5 dice, you roll a 3, 5, 4, 9, and 8. I don't know how you roll a 9 or 8. 3, 5, 4, 9, or 8, you didn't succeed because you got no matches. But a 5D roll of 6, 2, 5, 6, 3 means you have a height of 6 and a width of 2 since you matched 2 6s. Okay, that makes sense to me. 7th C uses a dice pool system also, but if you're trying to match multiples of 10, you have 5D pool that and a roll of 6, 5, 2, 3, 9 means you have 2 successes because you can make 10 2 times with a remainder of 5. Oh, so you add them all up? Interesting. Finally, L5R, Legend of the Five Rings, 4th edition, has the roll and keep, a dice pool system where you roll a number of dice and keep another amount. So if your dice pool looks like 5K2, I don't know what that means, then you roll 5 dice and choose to keep against a difficulty of the task. Sometimes you want to choose high, sometimes you want to choose low. While none of these are exact, I was just going to say, it's not really like Yahtzee. While none of these are exactly Yahtzee-like, they have elements of Yahtzee in them, which I agree. Okay, so interesting things to think about and learn. It's way too slow, disconnected, and distracting. I agree. It is slow. It's another thing to do, but I feel like it's kind of the big payoff. Now, if you listen to my Final Fantasy 7 episode, how do you do like a limit break? How do you build up to a limit break? I feel like this would be a great way to do that. I don't know if I would want it based on failing forward, but I like for at least that Final Fantasy thing where if you are learning from your mistakes, if you are doing something to build up a dice pool that you can use later, I do like that. All right, what else we got here? I don't know if any RPG ever used stuff like that, but this is definitely something I'd like to try. Only thing I can think of is that anything like this is FJE Huckster mechanic in Deadlands. Basically, every time you cast a spell, you have the option of playing poker against a demon for more power. Actually seems to play pretty quick, and there are edges, think feats if you are not familiar with Savage Worlds, that up the number of cards you draw and the like. Interesting. Cthulhu Tech uses a proprietary game system known as Framework that focuses on a dice pool system. An unusual feature is the selection of numbers from the D10 rolls. A player can pick a single highest number, all like numbers, or straights of consecutive numbers and use those to generate the result. The result is then added to a base consisting of a related attribute score bought by the player at character creation. The sum of the base and the result is then compared to target numbers or to the results of an opponent's roll to determine success or failure. Okay, interesting. Based on your roll, then like Yahtzee, you're getting consecutive numbers, 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind. Cthulhu Tech basically does this. Okay, let's Google that. Let's do it this way. Cthulhu Tech. Interesting. You've got a Wikipedia page. official website. I saw it was $15 on DriveThruRPG. But, you know, I'm cheap. I'm always looking for free thing out there. But yeah, let's get a quick glance at the reviews. Ooh, 8 reviews. Let's see, 288 pages. Was released in 2010. All right, must not be that popular of an idea. This was a new tab. Okay, close out of this. I was considering something like that for the spell mechanics in my very WIP. What is it? Not West End Games. Work in progress? Very work in progress D6 system. The 3 ways I thought of doing something like this were: spells or spell effects are rated 1 to 6, and you roll your spell casting pool and can spend the dice to fuel your spells. Level 1s can be fueled by 1 through 6, while level 2s can only be fueled by 2 through 6, all the way up to level 6s. Yeah, don't like that. Now, also, another thing I thought of was kind of like this Deadlands example here, where you roll all 6 dice, and then based on your one roll, did you get 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, straight, full house? But I thought that is statistically not probable, so, or not, not likely. So let's see, 1 divided by 6. Okay, so you have a 16% chance to roll any number, right? So what is this? 0.16 to the 5th power? Okay, no. Chance to get a Yahtzee in 1 roll. The probability of Yahtzee in 1 roll is 0.08%. Okay, so if that was just a decimal, right, that would be 8%, but 0.08%, so a fraction of a percent. The probability of Yahtzee in 2 rolls is 1.23%, and the probability of Yahtzee in 3 rolls is 3.43. So to get anything meaningful isn't statistically feasible. Chance to get a Yahtzee full... Oops. Oh, Yahtzee probability calculator. Chance to get a Yahtzee full house in 1 roll. Since there are 300 ways to roll a full house in a single roll, and there are 7,776 rolls of 5 dice possible, the probability of rolling a full house is 300. Which is close to 1 divided by 26, or 3.85% chance. So, statistically not likely. Couldn't do it that way. Okay. Gets me thinking. I think rerolls should be a result of their level, or perhaps with limited applications. For example, the wizard specializes in evocation spells. I know I'm not saying that right. While casting an evocation spell, they may re-roll up to 1 die per point of intelligence modifier. Okay, I do like that. Re-rolls. Writing this down in my notes. Based on a stat. Oh. Okay, so if I go back here, maybe this isn't how many... Maybe this isn't how many dice you roll. 1, 2, 3, 4. It is how many times you get to re-roll all 5. Okay, no. Just thinking that's gonna, once your character gets high enough level. Oh, but then you are playing Yahtzee this way. Sorry, thinking, processing. You would level up, and then that's how many re-rolls you get, and then you would basically be playing Yahtzee. So let's say if you got 2 turns. Okay, yeah. Okay. Then there's the push your luck mechanic that they were talking about. Let me go back and actually, because I kind of glossed over the push your luck. So I'm gonna kind of save this area here. Let's go back to the original post. Basically, let's say you have a wizard skill of 7, which lets you roll 7 dice. Rather than numbers of success or rolling over a number to achieve a result, you had to roll the correct combo of dice. Say a defensive spell requires 4 1s and a 5. You get 3 rolls and re-rolls to get that combo. If you don't, the spell fails. Maybe you can still cast a different spell that matches the dice you ended up with. Possibly you can hold over your results until your next turn and get 3 more rolls to get whatever dice you still need. Okay, that's very Yahtzee, which would represent preparation or concentration. Maybe a climbing action requires a straight with the number of continuous numbers rolled indicating how far you can climb. I get what this person is saying, but that would be so picky. All right, hey, you got 5 1s. Well, that would be a Yahtzee. So you got 4 1s on the scorecard, on the Yahtzee scorecard. 4 of a kind, you add them all up. So, hey, good for you. You got 4 in a row, but it's only 4 points. If they were 6s, you'd get 24 points. So if you were to say like, okay, hey, good job. You got 4 1s, but that really wasn't good enough. You only move 4 feet instead of 24 feet. That would be a little rough. So I'm not seeing the push your luck from the original post, though. Okay, back to this guy. As for spells, the spell could require that you just get a certain number of one value. For example, in order to cast Fireball, a 3rd level spell, you need to roll a 3 of a kind. Rolling higher maybe provides bonus damage based on the number you rolled. For example, if the Fireball deals 5d6 and you roll 4 4s, then you get 5d6 plus 4 damage. Interesting. Lastly, you could make melee combat a counter-rolling type system. You can roll a certain number of attack dice. The target rolls defensive dice, and before exposing which roll is which, the rollers get to arrange them however they like. Then it resolves in order, and which is higher. Each successful attack results in damage. Example, my 9th level fighter gets to roll 4 attack die against the Bugbear Warrior who has a 3 defense die. I roll 1, 4, 2, and 5. I arrange them in reverse order. The Bugbear rolls a 2, 1, 2, arranged as 1, 2, 2. My first and second attacks hit, but my third one does not. And my 4th goes unchallenged, so 3 hits. You may have to tweak damage die, but otherwise it's an interesting system. I agree that's an interesting system, but that is pretty slow. Okay, everybody's rolling a whole pool of dice. Then you have to order them, and then you're basically playing like a game of war, the card game War, every time you do something, or at least every time there's an opposed roll. You may even have attack and damage die be one and the same, and have them based on their new weapon and armor. A great sword has D12 attack die and D8 for a longsword, D4 defense die for cloth armor. Then you just subtract based on the arrangement of the die. No. Okay. I liked where this guy started, but not where he's going. All right. The way it's described for spells above, I would hate this system. It's a clever idea, don't get me wrong, but it would take a lot of time. Yep. Okay, this is me learning, me processing some good ideas I've got here. Slow, very slow. I agree with that. But they're building up to exactly the big spell that they need. It's their choice. That's another thing I like. It's their choice. If they fall forward, if they fail forward, I should say, they get to pick what they're going for. If I go back to here, they get to see what they want to build. Do they want to go for a 3 of a kind, which statistically is easier than a straight or a full house? And so if they're fine with just banking a re-roll of a dice, that's their choice. 4 of a kind, a double damage or doubling of an effect. Maybe everybody in combat wants to deal damage, so okay, so now something else I realize is we need criticals on here. I don't have anything for criticals, fails or successes. Okay. And there will be anticipation, which I like. So I think that's very much different from nope, I roll the 3 on my attack and that's all I'm allowed to do on this turn psi, which I already talked about. Silver Ion Max, I agree, I like you. We should hang out. Gaining more spells would also increase the chances they hit something useful. Finally, they could also opt to discard some dice, going for a small effect that only needs a dice combination of 2, for example, so they can always do something. Yeah, dude, love it. So mine's a little pickier, and maybe you're right. Maybe I should change this. On the catch-all chance I have here, add 1 dice from any failed roll. Well, how is that different than any other? Maybe I said, yeah, I think I jumped around on a couple of ideas here. Maybe it was any time you do a check, you can keep a dice and put it in your pool. However, how did I word it in a different episode? It's such a basic, simple idea, but your game mechanics determine how your characters play. So if they are rewarded to do skill checks or rewarded for attacking so they can keep the dice to build up their Yahtzee pool, we'll say, then they're going to say like, I check this lock. Is it locked? I try to pick the lock. I try to do this. I try to do this. I try to do this. And then that's how they build up their Yahtzee. So I think I got to tweak this to that you add 1 dice from any failed roll for all of them. And then this is what I would change based on the Silver Ion Max comment. The chance was once your pool is filled up, you can take 1 of the dice and add it to a roll, which I do like that for chance, but maybe, yeah, let's make this change now. When dice pool, add 1 dice to roll. All right, this is what I want to do. For chance, remove remove and use. Remove one die and is it? I can't remember. Is die just DI? Remove one die and add to a roll. Clear. No. Yeah, I'll say clear for now. Clear all Yahtzee dice. Yahtzee pooled dice. So maybe that could certainly be tweaked. I want to clear the pool, otherwise they would be getting lots of almost every turn, every check. Well, I guess if they're not failing, they're not adding to it. Okay, so that's a work in progress there, for sure. But this iteration is better than what I just had. So, yep. And let's do this. This is going to be too wordy for up here. Yahtzee. Add one dice from any failed roll. How can I just... Well, for now, let's cheat and bring it down in size. Okay. And this Yahtzee, I mean, this game isn't called Yahtzee, but that's how that works. When you fail a check, you put a dice in your pool. Add one dice. Okay. Needs to be tweaked, but okay, I like that. Sweet. This was useful. Alternatively, you could also have the dice results represent a spell element and have the players build a spell out of the elements on the table. 1 force, 2 fire, 3 water. Nah, that's just random. That I don't like. Like, oh, I just happen to roll a 3. Well, I guess if they're pulling, they get to pick and they know. No, I still don't like that. Because maybe you want to be generic fire wizard, okay, but you only rolled water dice, let's say. Well, that doesn't make sense for your character, so okay. All right, I like that. Another one we've got here. TLDR, threw together a ttrpg and want opinions. It's not finished yet. Okay, I did look at this, but I forgot everything about it. Yahtzee RPG. Strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, and wisdom. Basic concept. To play the Yahtzee RPG, all you need is a character sheet, some note cards, and 5 6-sided dice. In this system, the 6-sided dice is all that is used. For skill checks, roll 5d6 and re-roll a number of dice equal to the related stat. Oh. That... Too slow, too much dice rolling, but I do like that. That is very Yahtzee flavored. Roll 5d6 and score the roll as if you were... Oh, hang on. And 5... The 6-sided dice. All this. For skill checks, roll 5d6 and score the roll as if you were playing Yahtzee. That determines your degree of success. Oh, I skipped a line. Yet I like how I read it, skipping a line. Okay. For skill checks, roll 5d6 and score the roll as if you were playing Yahtzee. Okay. Well, in Yahtzee, you roll 3 times and then score. Okay, so it's faster, I guess. That determines the degree of... Nope, hang on. Let me highlight this. We might pause and continue this conversation later. For skill checks, roll 5d6 and score the roll as if you were playing Yahtzee. So that is this thing here. So this does incorporate the top half of Yahtzee. Cool. That determines your degree of success. You may re-roll a number of dice equal to the related stat. They can be the same dice multiple times. For combat, okay, they can be the same dice. Oh, okay, yeah. So you have 2 6s and the rest 1s. So you can re-roll the 1s, and if it rolls a 1 again, you can roll that. Okay, got it. For combat, always roll 5 dice, apply any dice manipulation abilities, don't know what that is, and use any number of your re-rolls, then activate one ability or item. In order to activate an ability or item, you must have the required dice results. Common required rolls are shown on the table below. Sometimes an item or ability will tell you to expend one or more of the used dice. In this case, the dice are lost for the rest of that combat. Whenever a character takes damage, it is first applied to their armor, then the remaining damage reduces their health. A character loses half their armor rounded down at the start of their turn. Applied to their armor, then any remaining damage reduces their health. A character loses half their armor rounded down at the start of their turn. I don't understand that. A single die of any value. A pair, 2 dice with matching value. Okay, yeah, that's the rules of Yahtzee. Strength. Anytime a character deals damage with an ability or item, they add their strength score to the damage. A character makes a strength check whenever they are doing something physically demanding. Okay, yep. Character creation. A starting player character sets all their stats to 1 except wisdom is set to 5 and gains 7 attribute points to spend to increase their stats as they desire. Stats cost 1 attribute point to increase until the stat is 5, then it costs 2. A starting character gains all of the starting items and abilities and can exchange any number of them for their upgraded version. Experience is used to buy abilities, and credits are used to buy items. We're getting into the weeds here. A character can only have 1 ability and 1 item for any given activation cost. All right, this guy's losing me now. If they ever gain an ability... Below is a list of starting items and abilities. All starter items have an upgraded variant that is twice as effective, but expends the dice that are used. Instead of being twice as effective, the upgraded Yahtzee item and ability grant an extra turn. All of the items and abilities that can be bought later are detailed later. Let's see, what do I have if you get a Yahtzee? I feel like it was an extra turn. Ooh, Yahtzee is how you level up, a stat level up. That is, I don't know. So, what did I look up? Well, maybe because it was 0.08%. Yeah, they might not be leveling up. That might be more difficult than I had originally anticipated. Let's see. Bonus turn for a large straight, which I think is the most points just before a Yahtzee, which must mean statistically it is the second hardest thing to get. So, okay, abilities. Dodge 1 die. Gain armor equal to the value of the used die. Okay, I guess that's why you half it. Block. Pair. Gain armor equal to the sum of the dice used. Okay. Dodge doubled. Parry. To pair. Gain armor equal to the higher pair and deal damage equal to the other. Oh, that's sweet. Holo Shield. Small straight. Gain 15 armor. Holo Tower Shield. Large straight. Gain 20 armor. Protect. 3 of a kind. Grant armor equal to the value of one of the used dice to up to 2 allies. Holo Dome Shield. Okay. Holo Armor. Full House. Gain armor equal to the sum of the dice. So the most you could be would be 6, 12, 18, 28. At most. Defensive stance. Yahtzee. Until the start of your next turn, negate all damage dealt to you. Items. Punch. 1 die. Deal damage equal to the value of the die used. Pistol. Pair. Deal damage equal to the sum. Assault rifle. Oh, this isn't a fantasy version. Respect bro or broette. This is pretty sweet. And I do like rolling a dice pool and then you re-roll a number equal to your stat. I do like that, but I think any re-rolling, even if it's 2 times instead of real Yahtzee's 3 time, is too much. But kudos. Let's see. Can I tell when this was created? Let's see. What does Reddit have to say? 3 years ago. Kind of vaguely like one roll engine in or you roll a handful of d10s and then you match up all the dice showing the same. Okay, this is the height and the width. It doesn't feature selectively re-rolling dice or more complex combinations like Full House. Okay, let's search this. One roll engine. Just to see what they got here. Ooh. Well, nope, not working. Paste. One roll engine. Come on. Interesting. Not finding it. One roll engine. Can someone sell me on it? Let's try a new tab. Doubt it will work. No. Well, this seems to be slightly more popular than a PDF. 4 plebs. What is happening here? Oh, is this it? About the roll engine. Well, this is just a text document, not... Well, to make myself feel better, maybe it's the SRD. Okay, well, I'll explore that possibly later. Initial impression is Such a system could be interesting if it's not just for getting specific success probability distributions, but if it adds a qualitative... Bro, too big of words for me. Moving on. I would recommend taking a peek at what's happening in the board game world for inspiration. There's a whole genre of dice games called roll and writes. Many of them involve some kind of roll and re-roll system like Yahtzee, but there are a lot of interesting rule sets that you could adapt for your RPG system. Some of my favorites include Gon's Sean Clever, an abstract like Yahtzee, Railroad Inc., a tiny route building game, and Hex Roller, which uses a hex grid, but there are plenty of them out there. interesting. The idea is neat, but I'm thinking at it if players are rolling 6 dice once or twice and looking for combinations, then those can't be individual swings or combat is going to be extremely slow. I agree. On the monster attacking side, you will need to allow players to save for instant death type stuff, or your players are going to be dropping like flies. I don't necessarily agree with that. The board game King of Tokyo is a game about giant monsters fighting each other that uses Yahtzee and some cards and a currency to get a conclusion. It's a custom dice, so not an exact Yahtzee port, but it's the same principles. Hardcopter Sakuga. Magic is real. It is dangerous and terrible and beautiful. It is a flame that burns at the helm of reality, threatening to set it all ablaze. It's an integral part of you, and it's your only weapon against the darkness. This is a tabletop role-playing game about magical girls. You will take on the role of a young girl who has awoken her latent magical powers and finds yourself bearing the weight of heavy responsibility. You delve into liminal nightmare-scapes to defeat magical manifestations of the darkest parts of humanity. Jesus. No, this is a playtest version. Okay. Oh, we're on itch? Oh, okay. Core rulebook. I love the internet. Hardcopter Sakuga Full Metal Petticoat. Jeez. Playing the game. And it's linked. Scenes and episodes. Rolling dice. In this system, there are no modifiers on dice results, and dice values are not added together. Check, check. That's like mine. This game only uses 6-sided dice, or D6s. Players roll a number of dice, and the resulting values are called the result set. This game uses additional dice mechanics for combat, which are described in more detail in the combat chapter. Thank you for linking it. Finally, we use a D66 to generate random results from tables. Perfect. Yada, 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 as Elaine would say. When your character takes an action in the conversation, asks the following questions. Is the outcome of the action uncertain? Are success and failure both interesting outcomes? If the answer to both is a yes, resolve the action by rolling a test. A test involves both player and GM rolling a number of dice and comparing the number of successes, which are dice with values 5 or 6. The most common type of a test is a trait test, in which your character rolls a number of dice equal to one of their traits. Some circumstances call for more specific tests. These tests will tell you how many dice to roll. When the GM tells you success is not guaranteed, they will tell you which trait is applicable for the test. Yep, got it. The player's dice pool is equal to the number of dice they have in their relevant trait, plus dice of the following. Plus 1 die if you spend a point of resolve on the roll. Plus 1 die if you have a major situational advantage. Plus 1 die if you spend a bond. The GM rolls a dice pool equal to the difficulty of the task. 1 routine, 2 average, 3 difficult, 4 extremely difficult, 5 nearly impossible. Each 5 or 6 counts as 1 success. If the player has more successes, they pass. If the GM has more successes, the player fails and suffers the consequences. I like this, but I'm not quite seeing the Yahtzee connection. If they tie, the player succeeds and suffers the consequences. Some consequences are listed below. Characters in this game never make tests based on their physical characteristics. Yep. Oh yeah, Clocks. Clocks is this must be a relatively new game because somebody developed this theory of clocks. A clock is a way to indicate progress towards a certain event. Normally, a clock is a circle divided into some number of segments. I'm gonna just stop reading that because this is a big part of Blades in the Dark, and I don't like Blades in the Dark. That's the nicest thing I can say is that I don't like it. Interesting game. I recommend you check it out, but I don't think this is what I want, so that's a bummer. Thanks, Reddit. You almost were there for me. Okay. Let's see if I refresh. Will this work again? Hey, nice. Games that have mechanics borrowed from Yahtzee. These are probably all board games. Oh, I have word Yahtzee, actually. Yeah, so these are board games. These are not probably what I want. So, okay, we're going to skip this. Why do I have this here? I don't know. Okay, I remember this one is as well. Yah20 or D20 Yahtzee. I've been reliving my misspent youth in a variety of ways the past week. For one thing, a number of recent conversations have involved the old role-playing game D&D, blah, blah, blah. Can we get to what I actually care about? So, with no actual play testing, so no guarantee, and a little work, let me introduce you to Yah20. 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s. Bonus if total is over 26. 16, 17s. Okay. Fumble, 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 fumble. 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, full house. Okay. This is interesting. It's got my attention. You need 5d20. Yah20 is a variation on Yacht, played with d20, 20-sided dice for the uninitiated. It lasts about as long as 3 games of standard Yahtzee or 1 game of triple Yahtzee. It's best played with 2 to 5 players, but can be played with as a large group or played solitaire. Equipment: you need 5d20 scorecards, which I think is the picture I clicked on. Gameplay: a turn starts with a player rolling 5d20. The player may then set aside any number of dice, re-rolling the others, or may stop rolling. Okay, is this just a game? I don't think this is a role-playing game. Thaco bonus. Winning. After every player has scored in each category, the players each total their scores. Okay. I will probably cut this whole out because this was not what I needed at all. Battle Yahtzee. Okay, I know absolutely nothing about this, but I think this came from my Google search here. It's time to pick a side in Battle Yahtzee, Alien vs. Predators. Players assume the character of Predator, Alien, Marine, or Scientist and attack their enemies with classic dice roll combinations like Full House and Large Straight, featuring glow-in-the-dark dice, battle chance die, custom scoreboards, and special powers for each character. Battle Yahtzee Alien vs. Predator is an epic battle for survival. Last player alive wins the game. What? What is this? Okay, Battle Yahtzees, that's a thing? Alright, let's go to the old YouTube. Battle Yahtzee. Alien vs. Predator. What do we got here? Okay, certainly not what I'm looking for, but interesting take on Yahtzee. But no thank you. Randomly found this cardgames.io/Yahtzee in case I got bored during the podcast, I guess. I got a full house right off the bat. Click the dice you want to keep. Well, look at it. Scores it right for me. Yeah. Keep. Roll dice. You can click full house. Heck yeah, Bill. You stink. You only got 4s. Okay, roll these dice. 1, 2. I got us 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's roll this dice. Try to get a 5. Yeah, freaking large straight. See, I'm having fun. This Bill sucks. You ain't gonna get it, Bill. Oh, Bill got it. Okay. Side tangent. Actually played Yahtzee. Sorry. Leave that tab up. Probably gonna play later. Sky Joe. Free League. Dragonbane. Yahtzee. This massive document I'm probably not gonna read. So that takes us back to my game. And I'm going to take a break. I'm going to stop recording. But when I come back, we will get into my game some more. So, see you later. All right. Well, I am back. I don't know if it's been a week or 2 weeks. But I could be professional and edit out the last part and just smooth transition, and you'd never even know that I was gone. But I've been busy. One, with work. I'm a teacher, and our semester ended, and the type of teacher that I am, I basically start all over halfway through the school year. I get all new kids, all new classes, and then I have to spend time on grades for my previous classes and yada, yada, yada. So, been busy, and rather than actually finish my grades, I procrastinated because I just get the itch. I just get the... Procrastination is not the right word because I just don't care about my job. Sometimes, all right? Like everybody does, I'm sure. So rather than doing that, I went and made a lot of changes to this Yahtzee RPG, which I ended up naming Roll 'em and Score 'em. I was trying to go with some D&D Dungeons and Dragons type theme, one word and one word. Couldn't come up with anything real creative. I designed this logo here, Roll 'em and Score 'em. Not a huge fan of it. Uses the same logo as Roll Around, or uses the same D6 as the Roll Around Find Out logo. But we'll put a bow on this and we'll go over the changes that I made. Character sheet here, mostly the same. I rearranged some things. I can't remember. I think I got rid of... What did I get rid of? Let's see. I had left arm, right arm, armor, and then something else. I don't even know. But all the stats are the same. Character name, character level, HP, MP. This inventory is so tiny, it's probably not even worth having. But I mean, you gotta have an inventory spot. Spells and abilities. The core mechanic, though, has stayed the same of trying to build up a Yahtzee. Maybe you just get 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, straight, full house, etc. But one major thing I changed is the point system here. And you can now... Not only are you banking your dice every time you fail, you can now bank your points. Before, it was kind of built up into like a one and done type thing. I don't know if I necessarily made it come across that way, but it was kind of like, okay, you're going to build up 5 dice in hopes of getting the most points possible, a Yahtzee, 5 of a kind, and you would get 20, whatever it was, 10 points, 20 points, and then that was it. Then you'd have to erase all of your dice and start over. Now, the only time you would erase and still can't erase is if you want a chance. If you've got, let's say, 2 dice on here, you've got a 3 and a 5. Well, what you can do is you can use chance, and you can use that 5 to add to any roll. If you do that, then you have to get rid of your 3 that you have on here. You got to clear all the dice that you saved. Okay? But if you've got 3 of a kind, doesn't matter, 3 1s, 3 2s, 3 3s, etc., you can just cash those in for points. 3 of a kind is 1 point. You can cash them in, and here you're keeping track of how many points you have. Now, I changed this shape to a triangle. I don't mention it anywhere on the character sheet. There's definitely too much crammed in here. Tends to be a common problem I have with my business card RPGs. I just put too much in too little of a space. I like the appeal of rules light, less pages, but I just try to cram as much stuff in as I can. Now you can see here I've got some inefficiencies. I've got all this empty space here, and that's definitely a tweak to do. But anyways, digress. This triangle here, you're meant to track your points with a D20. You put all your D6s in here, and every side of a D20 is a triangle. And so you kind of turn it and leave it on however many points you have. I don't know if I mentioned somewhere in the rules. We'll get to the rules page here. Look at that. It is just way too much information. But I want to say I capped the points at 20. So let's get in. Let's see if I did indeed say that. So when you are earning up your points, PTS, I should change that to AP points, ability points. I kind of had to go through and change the verbiage because there's kind of a lot going on. You've got your skills and your abilities, and you are building ability points. These are universal abilities that everybody has access to. Then here you can pick what abilities you want, and they are labeled by how many points they cost and organized by type, we'll say. There's combat, there's exploration, social, and diplomacy, and those are the 3 categories for, here's a typo, I think, period. Yep. Shoot. And so here's where you can build your character. There's no classes, but your abilities that you choose to pick form what your character is good at. And so we'll just go over a couple of these for each. For combat, you want to dual wield? Sure. What does that mean? You can roll both weapon damage and you take the highest. Okay? If you rolled a hit and you hit, now you can choose to spend 1 point and take the highest damage. Maybe you want to save it for a parry. If you're not wearing armor and you're holding 2 weapons, you can spend 1 AP to parry, which acts like armor reduction. Let's see. Let's go to the highest point one. Brute force. Break any enemy's bone. But GM, they don't have any bones. Okay. All right. This is rules light. There's not every corner case described on here. Okay. The GM will rule a chunk breaks off or something. It's more of a narrative effect. Okay. Well, which bone? Is it the leg? Is it the arm? Rules light. Okay. Exploration. Master tracker. The skill to follow and identify tracks. You can re-roll a sense. Okay. Sense is your stat, which is right here. Senses. Ooh. Sense or senses? We'll have to think about that. What do I have over here? I've got a brief description. Here I have senses, which is sight, hearing, touch, smell, and taste. All of your senses. So I actually do like senses instead of just sense. So let me change it to your senses. Okay, check. Got it. Okay, climbing expertise, proficiency in climbing surfaces. You can re-roll stability. If you are trying to climb something, you roll your stability, and let's say you don't make it, spend 1 action point to re-roll it. Essentially, you are paying to get advantage at it. But GM, can I spend 1 AP and then can I do it again and again and again? That's up to your GM. Now, I don't have it written in here, and I don't remember where I got this from, but one of the many RPG rule books I read, I thought was really good at saying, unless you do something to significantly change your situation, you roll your check, and if you fail, you fail. If you pass, you pass. You fail, you fail. Unless you do something, again, to significantly change the situation. If you're climbing and you fail, and then you realize you weren't wearing your climbing gloves. Okay, put on your climbing gloves, then you can redo the check. All right? We've got Master Tracker, climbing, Flash, double your distance traveled per turn. Eagle Eye, see real far. And then if you go back to my love of Bare Bones Fantasy and the class with the essentially a scholar, I think. I just love non-combat focused classes. And so this is kind of my ode to this. You can influence people. You can remember key details. You can deceive people. You can be a leader. Linguistic proficiency, quickly understand new languages. So a lot of these are just reroll, paying ability points for advantage on things, which I think is great. I think if you earn these action points from failing checks, I think it makes sense that you are learning from your mistakes, and so that's how you gain advantage. Now, Somebody might argue, okay, well, if you fail all of your combat checks, how does that correlate to, okay, well, now I can understand languages? Fair argument. If I really wanted to get into the weeds, then it's, well, if you fail a senses check, then you can only apply your points to a future senses roll, which I'm sure there are systems out there that do that, and I'm totally on board with that because that does make more sense. But I would say, suck it. It is a game, and with my rules lightness, I'm just fine with universal failed checks. Learn from your mistakes. Okay, now we have here spells. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, and 13. If math is if I got the math right. Low level spells cost 1 magic point. Mid levels cost 4 magic point, and high levels cost 8 magic points. Just running through the list here for low. We've got light, mage hand, feather fall, and force damage. That is just your universal gotta hurt something. Okay. Mid-level utility, detect magic, invisibility, dimension door. I don't know if that's a D&D copyrighted term. And looking at this definitely needs to be cleaned up because these are taking up 2 lines, and my goal was everything was 1 line. So I definitely need to clean this up. And circle damage. Damages all creatures in a 15 feet circle with force damage. So you're upgrading your low-level spell to now just not an individual, but anybody in a 15-foot circle, which is, I mean, pretty big. All right, high level teleportation, which, let's see, instant travel between 2 designated locations within sight. Oh, this needs, I cannot believe I let that slip through. These are basically the same things. Shame on me. Well, this is why I've said this before. This is why I do this podcast, to learn and get better. I made mistakes. Arcane sight, enhanced magical perception, see and hear more than normal. GM, well, how much? Can I hear halfway across the room? Can I hear fully across the room? Can I hear a town over? 100 yards? Rules light. GM figured out, right? And then extreme force. Powerful magic can eviscerate parts of enemies, if not entire enemies. Well, when is it part and when is it full? Great question. Moving along. Okay. So, character creation. Players add 1d to any 3 different abilities. Check 1 box for each. So, I hope I mentioned somewhere in there, it doesn't matter. Strength, speed, smarts, doesn't matter. Anytime you want to do one of these, you roll 1d6. A beginning character will be good at 3 of these, and you're going to check this box. So let's say you want to be strong, fast. You want to be Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. Why him? I don't know. But he's strong. He is probably... He tracks the beast, right? So he probably has good senses, and he's very socially adept. He's very good at influencing people to follow him. So strength, social, and senses, I think, would be Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. Again, random example. When trying to do something, roll... Oh, okay, hang on. Players add 1d to 3 different abilities. Check 1 box for each. All other abilities start at 1d. This is not marked on a character sheet until leveled up. Okay. When trying to do something, roll a dice per GM for a given stat. Add them up and try to beat the difficulty number. If they beat the number, they may spend AP to add a skill. Okay, this should say to add an ability, because these are your abilities. Or are these skills? They are ability. You're spending ability points for these abilities. Yeah, okay. I went back and forth on that, so that was why I was confused there. The GM may award weapons, items, situations that add 1, 2, 3, etc. to the roll. I should say that add or subtract 1, 2, 3, etc. to the roll. When using any skill, if a player does not meet or beat the difficulty number, 1 dice from the failed roll is added to the bank. Okay, that is the Yahtzee mechanic. Banked dice may be exchanged for action points. Action points can be used for 1 universal ability on page 1. That is these. Now, you know what? Can I fit it here? I need to tighten this up. My background is in the way, so let me do all the way back. Oh no. Oh no. Let's do this out of the way here. That didn't work. I need to add somewhere on here that these are universal points or universal abilities. I would love to add insert row above, get rid of that, merge these, merge, and these are universal skills. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right, well, now it doesn't fit. So bring this down. But now we're lower than the other ones. Ugh, I tell you. Okay, universal skills. So anybody can use those. I like that. Anybody can use those. Let's go here. Banked dice may be exchanged for action points. Action points can be used for 1 universal ability on page 1 or used for specific actions found on the left of this page. So that is this here. Okay, those are called actions. So I have skills. Want to make sure I get it right. When using any skill, yeah, okay. Skill is strength, stuff like that. Okay. All right. I think we're okay. Okay. Oh, got a little... No, I don't. Okay. Super exciting for you to see me edit this, I know. Okay, magic. Anyone can cast spells, given they can read the spell from their spell book. Roll sorcery dice to cast a spell and beat a difficulty number. So this is the GM saying the monster is easy, so you would only have to roll roll over 4 for this creature. Maybe they want to modify it and say it's 3 or 5. That's totally up to them. And beat a difficulty number. So let me add that. Roll sorcery dice and beat a difficulty number per GM. Okay. Spells known equals number of sorcery dice for max, unless GM rules otherwise. So you start with 1 spell, and then your goal, if you want to learn more spells, is to level up. One thing I don't know if I... Okay, yeah, I did. Okay, never mind. Spells can be erased from any spell book instantly. Adding a low-level spell takes 1 hour to be added. Mid-level spells take 3 hours to be added. High-level spells take 8 hours to be added. Let me do to your spell book. I've got the space, so I'll add that clarification. There and there. Max MP equals 1. I'll get rid of this period. 1 point for every ability increase. 3 to start, then 27 point max. Okay. Shame on me. 1 point for every ability increase, which comes from... Oh no. Oh no. What's an ability increase, Heath? A stat level up? No. Okay. Why do you start with 3 and then 27 point max? The most dice you can have is 4. 4 times 6 is 24. Oh, shit. Oh, no. Oh, no. I already uploaded this to drive-thru-RPG. Okay, attacks always hit, but armor rolls lessen and possibly negate any damage. All right. I struggled with this for magic. I thought, well, maybe magic could have the benefit of ignoring dice, or excuse me, ignoring armor. But that would mean armor was pretty, or magic is pretty busted doing it that way. But it could certainly be something that could be added. It could be 5 AP. I would say that's a 5 AP level ability to have a spell ignore armor. Yeah. Okay. Combat. Just like a skill check. Roll over difficulty number for creature you are attacking. Weapons can have +1, +2, +3 properties per... Let's be consistent. GM. Attack roll is also your damage roll. Armor reduces damage, can negate any and all damage from attacks. Melee weapons can use 1 or 2 hands and roll strength dice. Ranged weapons always use 2 hands and roll stability dice. Shields act like armor and usually only have a maximum of 1d unless ruled differently by GM. If using 2 weapons and not wearing armor, 1 weapon can parry for 1 AP, which is consistent with what we have up here. You might be thinking, okay, well, what if I have like a pole arm or a long sword and I want to use is there an advantage to using 2 hands? Can use 1 or 2 hands and roll strength dice. I have no mechanic for that. Do I want to add a mechanic and say using a one-handed weapon with 2 hands is an extra blah 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 damage? I would say no. Polearm, longsword, mace. No. Nope. Just going to leave it as is. Maybe I'll circle back to that. All right, your starting gear. 1D weapon, melee or ranged. 5 torches, 3 days of rations. In a backpack with a bedroll, fire kit, and rope. If I were to expand this into a 3, 4, 5, 6, I definitely wouldn't go more than 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 10 page document. I would have a list of gear and armor, and I've come to really love Omega Fantasy 2. I think about that often. on how that's really well designed, on how your class has jobs, or has like features, your class has features, your career has features, weapons give you features. I like that a lot. It's a lot to track, but I like it. And so this is one of many weak things on here. I would like to have a more fleshed out inventory of weapons. However, in that same vein, I think the new Knave 2nd edition kind of glosses over. It's basically like melee ranged, and that's it. They all kind of do the same thing. And then definitions of all of the abilities: strength, speed, smart, stability, sorcery, stealth, and senses. Do I mention... I don't think I do. Okay. Leveling up. Stat level up. Parentheses. Add 1d to any stat. Okay, clarify that up. All right, so let me bring this more forward because I brought it so far back. Oh, I did the opposite of what I wanted because I can't read. This background is just like a 8-bit forest kind of looking thing. I don't want to bring it to the front per se. Oh, okay, hang on. Because it's not covering the whole thing. I had it sized just right. Scotch, too far over. Okay, so again, inventory too small. You can't really track things. You are right, and so small. But here's where you would track your abilities and your spells. Biggest thing I have to remember is what this means. Your maximum MP. 1 point for every ability increase. 3 to start, then 27 point max. I don't even know what that means. Which, shame on me. What would 27 be? I don't know. And I'm not going to waste your time on it. So that's something that definitely needs to be tweaked. However, I'm proud of this. It's far from perfect. It obviously has rules errors. It's a lot crammed into a small space. That's just what I tend to do. Shame on me. But I would say that definitely if someone were to take this, which kind of proud of it, if I run this report here on DriveThruRPG, 16 people have downloaded it, which is amazing. If I go to the page of it, this game is untested and incomplete. So I'm not trying to come across like I'm a professional. It is meant for experienced GMs with a D6 system and as a source of inspiration for anyone interested in the fail-forward Yahtzee-like mechanic. Okay. I will update it, though, because I found just a couple errors there, and I really got to figure out the magic thing. But, again, I would say that the basis of this, failing forward and then banking dice, spending these dice to earn points that can then be spent on these universal skills, or because this is classless, these, what do we have? Did I say, was this 13 before? No. 6, 12, 17. 17 things you can do to customize your character, and these are like totally up for interpretation, totally up for you and your GM talking with each other to say, you know what, I want a character that can do this. Okay, this doesn't even matter. These categories don't matter. This was just a way to organize it. But, is it a combat skill? Okay, if it is it more or less powerful than any of these? If it's more, sure. Charge 6 action points, right? Totally whatever you want. Which, is that mentioned anywhere in here? Kind of, like the per GM, their discretion. And so I think a lot of game designers would label this as a toolbox, which I think is kind of a cop-out for like, hey, I didn't finish it. It's just a bunch of random thoughts, and so do what you want with it, which I guess is what this I'm saying. You know, take the Yahtzee mechanic, banking your dice, failing forward, and do something with it. So from the first session that I recorded, I'm happy with the changes that I've made. And like I said before, it was kind of like, all right, you've got your 5 dice. Now you got to use it up. Unless you went for chance and you cleared your board. Here, you can constantly be banking points. I think that's the smart way to do it. And if you're thinking, well, my players are just going to constantly be doing things that involve a check. Like, I walk up to the neighbor's door and I listen to see if they're there. I am eating my bread, but I want to sense what it smells like, you know, and that's just the GM say, no, like it's just common sense that you can just smell this. Like an everyday normal person unskilled in it can do this. So you're not really testing your skills, which maybe I should say that. Maybe it's not a check, it's a test. I'm going to forget that, but I do like that. That gives it a little more of like, I'm not using my skill, I'm testing it, which using a fail forward mechanic, we fail tests in real life, right? So maybe I do like that. Maybe I should change all of the checks to tests. All right. Again, amazing that it's not amazing that I'm making mistakes, but doing this podcast is for me to learn and grow and just become better at the hobby. So my closeout is, hopefully you took something from this. My new tagline for closing is, keep being creative. We'll see you in the next episode.